Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, each and every person that's within earshot of my voice. I greet you in the universal greetings of peace in a time of total chaos, war, um, hatred, fear. I greet each and every single person within earshot of my voice in peace. It's good to be back on here. Took a few days just to kind of see, get a feel where everything's at on the new incident that's going on in our world. Just wanted to get on here for a little bit, give my share my opinion and my truth. And I can't go against that. Um, it's sad to be in the state of affairs that as human beings who and the thing that is sad, really saddening is human beings don't understand that all this stuff that happens, this whether it's war, whether it's pandemics, whether it's uh inflation, whether it's any type of crisis that rears its ugly head in our societies, whether it be in this over here in America or whether it be anywhere else. And anybody can look at this throughout history and see who are the main individuals that get hit all the time or end up suffering the most in all of these situations that have happened throughout history. Who are the main ones that end up suffering the consequences of decisions that are made by individuals who may not have their well-being in mind. It's all about something else, and it's always there's no fail that human beings, humanity, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your complexion is, you always end up holding the bag and end up occurring all of the suffering that comes with a lot of the things that have happened. We call them, or they try and call them random events, but most of the time these things are manipulated and orchestrated in a way where as you go through them and you come out on the other side, as you see the mischief that was going on, you see it, especially now. There's no way in hell you cannot see it, but it's sad when you have all of this happening. So with everything that's going on, with Russia, Ukraine, you still have human beings being used as tools against one another, while those leaders, whatever agendas they are on, because I don't understand where people get off like Putin is just a person that everybody, we were always taught up under the propaganda here is that China and Russia and of course a lot of these Arab countries, that they're always the enemy. There will be no peace. They will always be the enemy when it comes to America. And I'm pretty sure when you go over there, you look at their news feeds and all that shit, they're saying the same thing about America and Great Britain. So it's like, who do you believe? Who do you fucking believe in a war on truth and a war for the information stream that people base their opinions and base their thoughts on certain things? We've seen it firsthand in this country year after year after year. Most recently, this pandemic. So, I mean, we still in a pandemic, no matter what they're doing, and we still here. We still in a pandemic, even though it's amazing how it's taking a back seat. You barely hear anything about it because everything now is on war. Something else to get the profit and the robber barons and the warmongers and the military industrial complex. Something else to get people, get the wealth drained from those who are really ignorant to what's really going on and view certain things as a scapegoat to enrich themselves, to bring in policies that will ensnare people, even though they can't see them in the present. But there'll be a snare set up for as time proceeds. Eventually, it'll be affecting people's offspring, and that's the danger that a lot of people see, man. Just wanted to get on here because with this Russia and Ukraine thing, it's been a lot. People ask me what I think about it. I say, first off, war is something that should only be used as a last utensil, like the last mechanism. But when you have governments that lie to their people, proven in fact that they have lied numerous times to their citizens. We've been lied to throughout the whole pandemic. So how would you sit up and even consider to agree or take on the perception that government is saying about anything, knowing these motherfuckers have the capability of lying to you? Anything that's considered a fact is shady or suspect coming out of all these motherfuckers' mouths. And the same over in Russia, man. I mean, I've seen footage of which some of the Russians are angry with everything that is going on with their government and their persecution of Ukrainians, because a lot of them look at as Ukrainians as their brothers, as their sisters, as their fellow neighbors. They don't have any gripes. They don't have any ill, harm, or intent. And then you have those on the Ukrainian side feel the same way about the Russians. They actually speak Russian, but you never hear none of that stuff. You only hear about what's going on with the Ukrainian president, and you keep hearing all this stuff about they're making this valiant stand in Russia. And the thing with me is we don't know. We're not over there. We're not on the ground. We don't have live streamers. I mean, they do have them, but you probably be hard to get that stuff out like they did when Canada was doing the trucker convoy. You had actual people on the ground to document in real time what's happening to counter act against the lying ass mainstream media, not just here, but in Canada and everywhere else. So, you dealing with two sides, two stories, and two different stories. And it's like, who the fuck is right when both of them are liars, known to be lying, known to be about bullshit, known to be suspect. And so I'm gonna go to, brings me to attention to this article right here. And let's see, I'm gonna share this screen. And, this is stuff that has been going on for the last couple of days. I mean, a lot of people have been peeping this shit. I mean, it's sad when you got something serious what's happening, and yet you got more people who will sit up and they will lie about shit, and they will make shit seem believable to some, unbelievable others, and vice versa. just to get your mind caught up on it, just to get you thinking a certain way. Because if they got you thinking a certain way, if they could get you in full support blindly from lies, then there's no telling what they can consider doing, and people will back it. And that's not right. You have some ignorant people out here talking about Nukem and all this other stuff. And the sad thing about that, when dumbass people say shit like that, that shows you they have no empathy, and they have no moral compass within themselves. And I bet you some of these same people are the ones that be in church every Sunday, or be at the mosque, or be at, but yet it's so easy to wish death and destruction on other people. But when it's in your neck of the woods, I wonder how that would come about. You hear a lot of whining, you hear a lot of crying then. So it's kind of sad to have people, actually so-called human beings, so-called people, even wishing that on anybody. But when you look at this, I mean, this shit has been out here, man. These folks have been using fake ass footage since this whole invasion went off. To a point, man, mainstream news have been using this shit in a lot of their stories, man. A lot of people see this shit. And the sad thing about it is people who eventually call this shit out, who actually were there for certain things. Like, there was a time where they had an air show, and they showed the jets, the Russian jets flying in formation. And they used that shit, and they, of course, on TikTok, they used it on TikTok to make it seem like this was from years ago. They make it seem like this was something that was happening just with this invasion, and Russia had their jets flying in formation. And it's the same fucking footage of explosions from years ago with different shit, or showing something that doesn't add up with, and all this shit just to get people to think a certain way. The more lies, the more bullshit we can get people to see, and Russia is guilty of it too. Not saying that what's happening, there is no legitimate gripes. But if people don't understand the history of Ukraine and Russia and what's going on as far as with them as being involved in this situation right now, but going off of what American so-called media and intelligence has to say, you're in a world of trouble. These folks lie about everything. They've lied for 2 whole years with surrounding something that has taken a lot. And then sit up here and you look at these same people to tell you the truth about shit. They've lied about every war or conflict that has happened, they've lied. And the sad thing about it, the main culprit in a lot of this shit is the main one calling out somebody, trying to act like they so holier than thou. That shit is ridiculous. It's like, wow. But anyway, propaganda, fake videos of Ukraine invasion bombard users. So I ain't know, this is from ABC News. Another fake program media outlet that only wants to go according to the agendas. Anything else, So they claim to show Russian fighter jets being shot down and Ukrainians dodging for cover in their homes. Some are real horrifying images of this war. Others have been lurking on the internet for years before Russia launched the largest attack on it. And if you got shit like this, the credibility of the whole effort is gone, man. I don't see how people you can't sit up and take sides when you really don't know what the fuck is going on. You really do not know, and it could be a dangerous thing to take a side, and you really don't know what's going on in the dark, because the Ukrainian president has ties with a lot of Western allies, as far as he got ties with Biden and his son, and A lot of people, I guess they forgot about that shit, you know, that was going on with Ukraine and Hunter Biden and whatever. But I'm gonna tell you, man, these folks do not give a damn about those people in Ukraine. All this shit is happening for a specific reason. Putin, who is also a puppet. I don't know why people think that Jinping and all these people, they're puppets. This fake illusion like they're enemies. And the sad thing about it, how can this be so much of a threat, but yet the major countries just calling this shit out and trying to sanction and all this shit, they still buy oil from Russia. They still don't want, they still have to buy oil from Russia. What fucking sense does that make? What sense does that make to have a coalition of all these countries, NATO and all this other stuff, sit up here and talk about how much Russia is becoming an aggressor and all and a lot of this coming from nations who ain't got no right to be saying shit with the shit they're doing. But how do you do that? How do you go and say things like that and then turn around and you're still it's still business as usual in certain arenas in connection with them? Makes no sense. Oh, we're going to shut down this, we're going to freeze this, we're going to seize this, we're going to seize that, but we're going to still buy oil. And you know, we see gas prices going up, you know, but we got all this stuff going on with them citizens over there who are caught up and are stuck in the middle of this bullshit. You know, people that's refugee status, and all the hypocrisy of past years begins to show itself because, you know, it seems like the focus is on them and the refugee problem when you had other issues in the past with refugees, especially at the border of this country. There's a whole lot of issues and, oh, you can't come in here, you can't do this. You had a place where, and we know what I'm talking about, we had a place where not only an earthquake happened, but their elected president. I'm not even gonna go into the history of that shit and all the inconsistencies with that, but their president was assassinated. And yet these people try to come over here and try to, you know, refugees from a war in which their country was spiraling in, and after that shit, and you barely, you know, they was treated as fucking aggressors and people who are not trying to get away from war and bullshit. They just want peace. You know, it's kind of different when you look at it now, and it's like everything has a fucking agenda, man. I can't understand, like I said, I can't understand how a lot of people stay locked into that site. But then, you know, when you don't change or that the what you would say, when you don't change the outlet in which you're getting your information, or you base all your shit on information that you're receiving off of these controlled groups, I mean, I guess it'd be no hope. You know, because a person gonna have to see shit for themselves or see shit happen in real time in a fucked up manner for themselves in order to see. So they have this shit out here, man. A lot of people been seeing this shit. A lot of people been complaining. Even news networks have been reporting on this shit. How they're using propaganda on both sides, man. And you have to wonder, what is the fucking purpose for it? I mean, is it to calm down? And I'm gonna come up out of this. Is it to calm down the move on to something else after all this shit has happened with this pandemic and everything that has come behind that? Is it because of that? I don't know. I mean, shit. It gets to a point where you see it for yourself. We hardly hear anything about it, but we're moving into a war state. And let me see. Let me go to this one. It's so fucked up how they're doing this, man, that it puts in perspective shit from the past, conflicts from the past. And you see how why it was so hard for people to snap out of a lot of the propaganda and shit that they're putting out here. But let me go to this right here. See, it's stuff like this too. Let's see. See, on one side they have media footage saying that Ukraine is David against the Goliath, and they're demoralizing Russian troops. They're doing this, they're doing that, and they making Ukraine seem like they're just this awesome fighting force that's out here. On the other side, you have the Russians and Putin's government saying they're trying to stamp out Nazis. And this is something that I looked into. They actually have security forces in Ukraine that actually wear Nazi symbols. They're like a neo-Nazi unit. You could barely find some of the stuff on the internet because that's shit they don't want people. They have to hurry up to take that shit down because they don't want motherfuckers. That was the whole thing. I believe, me personally, not only because of the fact that Ukrainian history with Russia resonates high, but also because of the neo-Nazi sentiments. Now you got to understand that communism and Nazism was total enemies, and no matter how much Soviet Union is down here, Russia is still a standard bearer of that shit. No matter how much they say they are, well, they're not a communist country or whatever. Now, you know, really don't give a fuck. All that shit is bullshit. But they are the enemy. So that was some shit that Putin was saying. Look, they got neo Nazis out here, and the sad thing about it, you got Western countries who fought against Nazis and teamed up with communist Stalin and the Soviet Union to defeat Nazis. And here they are arming them because they were oppressing the separatists that's in Ukraine. So it's a lot of different stories back and forth. And if you don't know about how propaganda works, and you can't understand that these motherfuckers is lying to you every fucking day, what makes you think situations like this and events that's big like this that have nuclear implications that they're gonna tell you the fucking truth? They're not. Either side, all sides owned, period. So here it is, they're showing videos of crying Russian troops, this, that, and the third. Then they, on the flip side, they got videos of the opposite of Ukraine, the devastation, and I'm not, you know, you do have some, there are incidents where you do have loss of life and all this shit. But to sit up and be playing with this shit, where you got human beings' lives at stake, you got people's properties, you got all this shit, a whole way of life at stake. It's something that should not be tolerated by either side, man. These folks need to come clean, and with whatever dark agendas this shit is really about, man. You know it is. We come out of a fucking pandemic and fuck this whole planet up. We still in it. Got this whole planet reeling. Inflation is high as a motherfucker. Motherfuckers out here chill trying to act like like it's hunky-dory. Like everything's cool and normal. Oh, they said they're gonna stop the mask mandate. So okay, it's normal. And motherfuckers out here running around like everything's okay. No, man, ain't shit okay. And then all of a sudden you in a pandemic, you get to the end of it, I guess. And now you in a fucking situation where everybody's stuck in a fearful state about this situation going on over there, especially with a nuclear power. And with all the shit that the United States is doing far as sanctions and all this other shit, you know, this is, and I think I mentioned that before. I was like, man, the United States always talking shit about they sanctioning people. They sanctioning this person, they sanctioning that, they sanctioning it. Like, how the fuck, like that shit really, our economy fucked up over here regardless, just due to the problems that's going on in the economy here. But they keep running this sanction shit against, we're gonna sanction them to death. And you doing that shit with nuclear powered enemies, so called, that I mean, what you think that might happen if they feel like they back against the wall or whatever? I'm just saying. I hope that would never be and I don't believe it would ever happen anyway. And that's just on a spiritual standpoint. It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened since 1945 and will continue not to happen. And for those who may not know what I'm talking about, that I'm talking about the use of nuclear or atomic weapons again. But it just seems odd that motherfuckers would sit up here and try and back a motherfucker against a wall, a nuclear powered threat. If this was a fucking, let's say if this was a Middle Eastern country, and they was doing this shit too, and they knew they had their nuclear weapons and all this shit. I don't know, it probably would have been almost there to the point of nuclear war. Because I feel like they would once they get back in the wall, they would try something. But why would you do that shit anyway? But once again, nobody really knows the truth about all this shit that's going on. All you getting is stories from each side, and nobody really knows. But it's dangerous to pick sides when you don't really know what the fuck is really going on, because all you know is a bunch of shady shit throughout the whole past couple of years, and the characters involved, including the Ukrainian president. So it's not like this stuff just led up to where we at now. And people who don't kind of keep track or look into shit or research shit, they'll get up here and they're, okay, Russia is our enemy, so and say dumb shit like that, don't know what the fuck going on. It's sad when you see motherfuckers like this. You got Venezuela slamming the U.S. for the sanctions. Venezuela has been getting hit hard. First thing a motherfucker say, oh yeah, they pro communist, they with Russia or whatever. The United States and Venezuela have always had issues going back to Chavez and all that. So not only U.S., Great Britain, and other places showing sanctions. So China and India have been, they haven't voted on any of this shit. They said, no, they out of it. And at the same time, it's like the U.S. is trying to stir up shit with Taiwan. And I don't know if people were paying attention to the news. Let me come out of this. Before this stuff happened, it seemed like the United States was begging Russia to do the shit that they're doing. It's almost like they were begging them to get in there and go to war with Ukraine. It's like they was begging them to go at it every day. What they kept saying, Biden was saying, they're gonna invade any hour now, any day now. And they kept doing shit. They kept just spreading. It's almost like you knew it was coming. And it's like that's what the whole fucking thing, that's like everything they did was about that. It was about pushing this shit into war. War makes money. War brings policies into fruition. And a lot of times these policies hurt, once again, those who are caught up, human beings. And they got all this shit, man, that make it seem like this push is for a righteous cause, for democracy. Yet you got democratic countries, so these same so-called countries that's screaming democracy, not allowing their people to speak on certain things. We know, for example, we know that here from the pandemic and everything that come down about that's still going on. People still want to know why certain shit went the way it is. It's like you know, no matter what they do, no matter what kind of confusion and circumstances they try and bring about to try and sweep a lot of shit under the rug. People I talk to, we ain't forgot about none of this shit over the last couple of years. You motherfucking liars, you motherfucking fake ass leaders and rulers in Congress and this country and all over the globe. You lying ass pieces of shit. Nobody, I don't trust you, and I know people that think the same way. So, you know, when it comes to shit like this, I can only send love and feel in my heart concern and can only send love and safety to them people over there in my thoughts and prayers, because I don't know what's really going on, because I know these folks are liars. I know they don't have human beings' best interests at heart. So there's no way I'm gonna jump on a bandwagon just because they show some shit on their fake ass news and think I'm gonna jump in the bed with that shit and ride on out and start condemning people and condemning this and condemning that, or berating or accepting this and accepting that when you really don't know what the fuck is really going on. And it's unfortunate. It's like that, but it's been like that. It's just now everything, people are having the ability now to consciously use discernment and see through all this shit, not with an open mind, but with a spiritual mind. That's like I said, all this shit spiritual too. So there is no way I can accept their explanation for shit. You know, you motherfuckers, the same liars who try to clamp down on people who speak out against things that are showing hypocrisy or showing some type of suspect intent, but you clown them and immediately go after them and censor them. That ain't no fucking democracy. So motherfuckers like that shouldn't even be out here trying to promote that shit. Like so hell, just the issue, I'm being from the Black community, just that in itself. And that's not the only thing. That's a small thing compared, added up with everything else. Not no fucking democracy, man. Get the fuck out of here. Why you fuck y'all keep trying to keep going around here acting like y'all the standard bearers of democracy when y'all do some of the most heinous and corrupt shit throughout history and continue to do it. And not only you continuing to do it, you continuing to do it with the knowledge of all these motherfucking elites in this cabal group. It's always like it's something else controlling this shit, man. Like all these puppets, all these presidents, all these prime ministers and chancellors and shit, they scared to death to say anything that's fucking righteous for the people. It's like everything got to be something that lead to war, lead to some type of bullshit that cause or provoke some type of response, or just some type of shit to just get enrichment off of, man. Motherfuckers should see that shit. Now, a lot of people see it. That's the good thing about it. Because then you know that this awakening that everybody is speaking of, man, you know it's reality. It's not no bullshit. It's not no damn kumbaya moment. This is a moment in which everybody have to realize, yes, it's real serious stuff happening and spiritual implications involved in it as well. So, you know, how they could do that is beyond words to me, but I don't care what they do. Me, I will not be involved in supporting none of that shit. I support human beings. I feel sorry for what's happening to them Ukrainians over there, and I hope the best and that peace will prevail. But I do not trust none of that shit coming out from over there, and nothing coming from on this media. Not from liars. Maybe if they could tell me why Dr. Fauci has been given the pass a lot of Congress, I may have a make. But even then, I'm just playing. I wouldn't. But yeah, you know, because that's still a question that's etched in a lot of people's mind. I know it's in mine. Why this man still haven't been called out about lying to Congress? Everybody, the mood, it seemed like motherfuckers moving away from the January 6th pandemic, and we're into this war, and then we got primaries coming up, or for was that House seats? I think it's House seats. I think some Senate seats too in various places, but you know, every time you start going toward some type of election period, these motherfuckers start doing shit, man. And it's sad people see it and then they still do nothing. And I understand when some people say the shit that they say about, like, how the fuck can you claim this and claim that, but then you still go back around and support the same bullshit, or you or you go behind and say, well, you know, I ain't no other. I mean, you still wrong. They're still supporting wrong bullshit. You see the shit with your own eyes, yet everybody, and that's the shit that's fucking everything up. So let me go to this one joint here. Let me see. I want to share a little pieces. I gotta find this video, matter of fact. Let me see. And it's basically just the audio, just to hear the audio on it. It's pretty cool. But what is being said is something that need to be taken seriously.
What is the number one way to build massive authority in your market? If you're a world-class coach,
what was that? Anybody who wants to rule should not be allowed to.
All right, I'm gonna just play this little part right here.
Should not be.
I'm gonna go to this, and this is from I think on this video the voices are of Max Egan and David Icke, two pioneers in the field of bringing truth and awareness to people and to help people understand their conscious part in this world and how it's been stymied by a lot of this bullshit. But let me go to it because some real shit, man. If you resonate on certain shit, you'll know exactly what's being said and what it was. So let me go to this.
Anybody who wants the job of president is not fit for the job. It's as simple as that. Anybody who wants to rule should not be allowed to. It's as simple as that. These people want this position. They claw their way over each other to get to this position because they just want power. And it isn't that the power corrupts. It's that power attracts those who are easily corrupted or are already corrupt, because anyone who isn't corrupt simply doesn't want the gig. Any street, any country, any place that you live in the world, look at what your government has done to your society. Look how much you are struggling, and ask yourself why on earth you would think that these people are going to do anything to improve the situation. They're not. You know, every problem that we face in the world today is a result of legislation that governments have written, which have allowed all of this rubbish to continue.
I've been following this guy for a minute now. Him and David Icke been on point, man. It's kind of sad to say, because you need more people like this in all communities. And there are some, even in Black community, and in the Asian community, in the Native community, that be speaking on certain shit, man.
So you must walk between these lines. And if you don't, I will push you and push you to the point that I will put you in a cage if you don't do what I say. You know, that's the mentality that they have. They are so brainwashed that they will push people until death or complete incarceration simply because they didn't do what they're told. And they think they're doing the right thing when they do it. That is the scary part about the mindset. That's the scary part about the program. And that's something that we have to deal with. It's a freaky thing, but it's just something that we have to deal with. And that's why they work so hard to divide everybody and keep us squabbling amongst each other. And even when you try to unify people, they think, oh no, you're trying to create some united front, which will be a movement, which can be picked off. No, it's just a unity of focus. Just a unity of focus. And you've got to understand as well, a lot of the people who join the police force actually join the police force because they want to do the right thing. You know, a lot of these people see society being in a mess, and they're good people who want to do something right. And they go in there, they get into this big boys club, they get indoctrinated, and that's the way it goes. And ultimately, it's all corrupted anyway, because it's corrupt from the top down. And stop thinking that all these guys are your enemies, because they're not. There's a lot of good people in the police force, a lot of good people in the government and in these situations, which are really trying to help us from within. And a lot of them are staying in these situations and working for these groups because they want to have the insider knowledge. You know, so don't think these people are your enemies. Just realize that we're being pitted against each other in our response. Like I was saying before, whenever we respond to the system, we do it according to the parameters that the system gives us. They want us to do these protests, do a big protest, big march through town, have police everywhere, get it on the news. Oh, look at these violent protesters. Then go to some march to some square somewhere, and someone gets up on a podium and says a few words. And then they listen to it and go, okay, well, you're not really saying anything that's going to move it forward. So they can gauge the consciousness, they can gauge the response of the people, they can portray it to the public in the wrong way. And that's not the way to do it. We do that, or we sign petitions. We ask, would you please be a nicer slave master? Yeah. What is this rubbish? You know, what are we asking them for? Too many times people want you to provide a pathway. You know, what are the steps to freedom? How do we get to the new system that you want to bring in? You know, if this system is corrupt, what's the new system you want to bring in? Everybody wants that answer. They don't realize that the system isn't corrupt. The system is doing exactly what it's designed to do. The only reason the system is so dysfunctional is because of our tolerance of evil, our tolerance of wrong behavior. If we were to change that and we were to do the right thing in all that we do, and we were to respect everybody around us, the system would have to change around us organically. We don't need to construct a new system. We need to reconstruct what is in our hearts, reconstruct the way we approach other people. Now, if we can live in a gift-based society, it's just start giving to people. I mean, this is all I do, Bill. I give to people. You know, ask the question of your boss why this economic model is being supported when people their lives are being destroyed because of it. Didn't we create this economic system to support the human race? How come the human race is now the most expendable thing that exists within this economic system?
Bingo.
It's all
Exactly.
backwards. We've just got to change the way we look at things. That's how we'll change the world. We don't have to change the system. We've got to change ourselves. So I think the country needs to watch out where it's heading. I really think you guys are.
And I'm gonna end it right there. But I mean, a lot of that shit makes so much sense, and it's clear as day, man. We and you understand that we as human beings have to try and see through the muck and mire which has been purposely put out here in order to see a potential that is greater than we've ever experienced on because it's something that for so long, man, so many forces have not wanted humanity to experience this. But like I said, unity is the only way to defeat a lot of this shit. People stepping up and calling out shit and stepping together. I keep saying, man, all this shit got to come to a stop. The markets, all this shit, man. Because everything that, like he said, man, this guy is from Australia. Not sure where he lives, but I've been following him. He's everything he's talking about has been on point with dealing with this shit, man. And I just got to say, a lot of people should give an ear sometimes to people they may not even know of. Step out the box. There's wisdom everywhere out here, embodied in different people all over. That's dropping different jewels of wisdom that is needed in this day and time. Not needed yesterday, not needed tomorrow, but needed right now as we speak. So, unity is the biggest threat to this hidden power that's out here. And for a person to believe that it's not nothing else out here, you have to understand, like, damn, man, I already know where some will go, well, it's Satan and this and that. You know, it's Satan and his demons. You know, they're doing this. We gotta wait. And they give everything. They push everything off on other deities or beings when you are empowered to have that strength of God, man. You are empowered to have God within to overcome all this shit, come any adversity in one's own personal life. But because we're not taught how to do that shit, we're taught always to give our power away, man. It's like that's what keeps getting us fucked up. That's why they keep getting human beings caught up in a situation where we are the ones suffering. We are the ones out here fighting one another, and we are the ones setting up divisions and labels. We are the ones setting up standards in which what is cool and what is not cool. And if you ain't with the cool, you ain't nothing and all this other stuff. We're the ones doing this shit. We are the motherfucking ones doing this. We keep screaming about, oh, the devil and this and the world ending and all this other shit. But yet you sit up here and say all that shit and go right back around here and listen to these satanic leaders tell lies and come with wide open hypocrisy, and then sit up and try and educate somebody else on something. You see, like you can't do that shit. I don't think you can do it no more. A lot of people calling that shit out. So, you know, you might want to be careful when doing that, because a lot of people now ain't holding back. So if a person want to come with their way of life or their way of thinking on certain shit to another person who may have something else different, it's all about coming together. But when you trying to make people see it your way and your way only, especially when you only calling out shit that you want to call out, you're not gonna call out everything. You know, that's the whole hypocrisy part of this whole thing. You know, all these religious people, you know, that look forward to the coming of different people, or coming of a new world and the end of another world and all this, and the battle between good and evil, but yet they don't want to recognize it in front of their eyes being played out. And a lot of it's being played out and happening because people are giving their energy away to these same people that they should be condemning and not listening to them no more, and exposing them for who they are and taking them out of power. That's it. That's the only way. That's the only way. But that's the whole purpose of this propaganda and all this shit, man. You know, people get caught up in that shit, and it don't matter what race, whatever you're from. There's propaganda in the Black community. You know, I know a lot of people in the Black community probably wouldn't agree with what I had to say, but it's how I feel. I mean, shit. We've been riding on that slavery and injustice deal for how long, and nothing has happened. We know that there have been setbacks, there have been stuff that has been happening within our own government, man. And even in the city and local governments, which help to perpetuate a lot of this shit. But the thing about it is, it's like we don't. A lot of the black people in the communities, man, they don't want to branch away from trying to find out a unified way of doing shit with those of like-minded. It don't matter where you're from. It's like they don't want to do that. They just want to stay stuck with other black folks screaming about this, that, and the third, and it seems like that becomes a never-ending cycle of the same shit. And it's like every community is affected by this shit. White folks are infected by entitlement just as much as black folks who scream that they should have this and this, that, and the third, and they should be entitled this, that, and third, but yet their behavior and everything else shows that of uncivilized people. And other people across the planet the same way. Uncivilized. People acting like they got all the civilization in the world, but you know, they do some of the most uncivilized and savage shit, but then want to pass the buck off and accuse others for why their shortcomings and downfalls. So you got white folks blaming black folks now, and they literally are. I see on some of the comments on some articles, they go in. It's like they ain't holding nothing back no more. It's like shit, fuck it. You motherfuckers, black folks cry all the time and this, that, and the third. You got black folks still, well, you motherfuckers ain't should have did this and that and the third. And it's like that argument there will continue to go if motherfuckers don't recognize that that argument is being used. That energy from that communication right there is being used to keep this shit going. So it's like, even in our community, even in the black community, there's propaganda that is not helping people understand that we as human beings need to unite against this common fucking threat. A threat that's going to take down everybody, children and grandchildren in the future, because of the shit that they're implementing and the propaganda that they got out here that got people ensnared thinking that these folks is all about benefit, and they're not. They're benefiting, yeah, they're getting benefit, but it's not benefiting human beings, not one bit. It's funny how these motherfuckers talk all this shit about they went out and confiscated a couple yachts from Russian oligarchs or businessmen. What about the shit that's over here with American billionaires and who have fleeced Americans and have gotten over on them through, whether it was through insider trading, whether it was through manipulation of the market, you know, what they call that shit, hedge funds and all that shit. What about the ones over here who sit up in these positions of authority and they claim all these titles and they do shit and they're linked with other people who do shit that's not benefiting? I don't see motherfuckers taking shit from them and all that shit. You know, that's why I'll be like, man, these folks crazy. You sit up and sanction people. United States ain't been sanctioned one time for actions they've done against their own citizens by any other country. It's like everything we say it goes, but soon somebody do some shit, same shit we're doing, we're up in their face and all in front of the world talking about this and that and the third, when everybody see this shit going on here and know it's been going on for years. You don't see no countries sanctioning. Do you see Russia saying, fuck it, I'm gonna just cut our oil off? You see China saying, no, we're just gonna stop sending imports over there, or exports over there, period. You don't see any of these other countries that so-called enemies and all this stuff saying none of that shit about anything that America has done. But as soon as they do something, whether it's in Middle East or whatever, it could be Africa, it don't matter. As soon as somebody else do something, this holier now group jumps out there and starts sanctioning people. Like they just you know, all of this shit is exposed for what it is. People need to wake up, and people are, and that's a good thing. And a lot more are gonna wake up as the severity of this shit starts to continue to show itself. I send peace and love out to all people within the Black community, white community, Native community, indigenous community, American, Ukrainian, Russian, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, Holland, Zimbabwe. You know, it don't matter, man. The enemy that we're dealing with, man, has been in this business for thousands of years. And ain't nothing new under the sun. It's just that human beings have to realize and wake up to this shit. But in due time, everything will be out there for what it is, and people could be able to move on. But with that, I just wanted to share a couple of things. You know, just be careful with this Ukraine thing. These folks are moving from one extreme to another, and they're doing it for a specific reason. But I pray each and every day and send that intent out that whatever this cabal, this group, everything that these fake ass leaders and rulers are doing to work against humanity, that it blows up in their face, that everything they do backfire under the weight of everybody waking up under the light of truth. So with that, I greet you as I came in the universal words of peace.